Hello and welcome to our midweek conversation at First Baptist Sweetwater, where we strive to be the first responders of God's love. My name is Jerry Hendricks. I'm here with our new pastor, T. Hamilton.
Newly elected, but I don't start till September 1st.
So you're the new pastor.
Right. But I don't start till September 1st. There's a transition in there, which is very helpful.
Now is not the time to be picky about that.
Yes, it is, most definitely.
Now is the time to own it.
I got a month.
It's yours.
I've got August.
There's not a pastor. I'm the interim pastor. So we need you to be pastor.
But I'm afraid that you would stop being interim, so I can't do that yet.
We need you in that chair. We want you in that chair.
Oh goodness.
Well, obviously yesterday we're podcasting on Monday like we normally do,
Right.
And yesterday we had a day where you came before our church.
Right.
And our church had the opportunity to ask you some questions, eat some breakfast with you.
Yeah, no, they didn't. And you weren't able to be there, but I went through the line, and I got to talking, so I was at the end of the line, and I sat down, and I literally took 2 bites of my burrito. And Robert Aker goes, "In the interest of time, we're going to invite Teak up there."
You are the pastor then.
I got 2 bites, and it was over. I was like, "Oh, great!"
Hey, normally you don't even get 2 bites. I'm just saying.
It was
I don't have a lot of experience, but I've got some experience with that. You're lucky you got 2 bites.
I'm learning I need to be down here early to sample everything first.
Well, that is a consistent pattern that you've had since I've known you. So
Yeah.
you do that well.
I'll do that, and then I won't have to worry about it from now on.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you have to worry about this in particular.
I hope not.
But it was a good day.
Yeah, it was a good day.
Anyway, so we had breakfast with a question and answer. Did Stacy get any questions?
No, in fact, Robert let her sit at the back.
She was there, correct?
She was.
She was there.
She was sitting at the back table, and he never made her come forward. He said I could. He said she could come up if I let her, and I was like, "That's not how it works. She can come up if she wants to. I'm not letting anybody do anything. She can do what she wants." And she sat there.
Okay.
So, she said she would tell her favorite color if anyone asked. Okay.
What is her favorite color?
Blue.
Awesome.
Blue. Not awesome because it should be green, but whatever.
And then for worship, you preached from what passage?
From Matthew 13 and Daniel 7,
Okay.
and talked about the kingdom parables where Matthew talks about the kingdom of heaven as opposed to the kingdom of God, which is the same thing, just different words. So tied that into Daniel's vision of the kingdom of heaven versus the beasts and the empires of the earth.
Okay.
So, and talked about shaping our own kingdom mindset, that he was speaking to a Jewish audience that needed a different kingdom mindset. And I believe we totally need that today if we're going to ever change our community, our world. We have to have a different view of what the kingdom is.
So from your emotions on that Sunday, was it different?
So walking up on stage during the bumper video, the microphone fell off. So that started off things with a bang,
Yeah.
literally, because it thudded. And so I think that took the nerves away a little bit because...
What, the frustration?
Yeah, you're like, what else could happen? I don't have a red drink or grape juice to spill up here to stain a floor, so can't get much worse.
Yeah.
But I tried to remember to pull my phone out and start the stopwatch going so I know about how long I'm going and I don't go too long or too short. I know people don't want to get out too early. But in the midst of Mike Mageddon, I didn't pull my phone out, and I never thought to look at any of the clocks in the room. And so I just went, and then I was done, and I was like, I have no idea how long I went. And you remember when you said interim Jerry has more to say than Pastor Jerry did? Apparently View of a Call Teak had more than Family Minister Teak, because I went 28 minutes, and I was like, ooh, ouch. And our friend Wendell Williams came in today, and we were talking. He said, well, it didn't sound like it was that long. And I said, well, thank you, I appreciate that. He said, Jack Riddle Hoover told him one time that if you preach longer than 22 minutes, you're just talking to yourself after that. I said, well, I had 6 minutes of talking to myself.
Well, that is interesting. But yeah, that's definitely part of the deal on watching the clock and different things like that.
Yes, it was.
I haven't had a chance to listen to it or watch it. Yesterday was kind of a crazy day for us, but I was curious about how you would feel having been there before, having known these people for a long time. But the circumstances are different, and they're different moving forward.
Yeah. So you and I both, we normally don't take a drink up there with us, water or anything. But having been at camp all week, kids camp, my voice was cutting in and out the whole weekend.
Wow.
You're at celebration yelling, and there's a lot of times where I put the mic down and I yell, and then 4 hours of recreation, yelling and back and forth, celebration, all that.
Oak
block
trees
party
and allergies.
That's the other thing. By the time you pile all that together, I got home and I'm like, my voice is weak, and I could tell it. Philip with Burgundy Road talked about he would drink honey and tea and honey and lemon tea with honey or something like that. And so I was thinking about that, but the whole weekend I was like, it's cutting in and out. I don't know what's going to do. So I took a water up there just in case. But I only took one drink at the very first while the bumper was playing a second time. And then there was, near the end, I was like, I really need another drink. But I'm at a place where a pause doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it. And so I'm just going, just bear with me. We got this. And I just keep on going. But so I did, I don't know how you carry all that stuff up on stage. So I guess you don't have the water bottle, so that helps. But you carry the stool with the Bible.
Have you got
with
one
the
of
water
those
bottle.
Camelback things?
Ooh, I do.
Good idea, yeah.
I got, and it's a 3-liter.
In fact, it's except for wearing it, it's more subtle probably to get a quick
Yeah, you just put it inside your mouth. Yeah. So no, that was the motion part of it, and just like kind of the flow and everything, knowing that I had that water on stage, and I kept thinking about it. And then when you think about something else, like we talked about how you can see faces and you remember those. When you're thinking about it, then you're like, what did I just say?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I hope I didn't say arch heresy.
Well, I don't know what that was about, but it's almost like, I don't know, unless people have done that kind of thing, speaking in public with a prepared comment or prepared speech or sermon or whatever. I'm not sure, if you haven't done that, I'm not sure people are aware that there's a conversation that you're having that's coming out of your mouth, but then there's also the conversation that you're having in your head.
Right.
And sometimes that one, you're talking to yourself either about your throat or responding to something that's happened. And I don't think it ever goes away, and it's not well received when you're the body, you're embodying that those two conversations.
Yeah, when your mind's saying one thing but your mouth is saying something totally different.
Yeah, like this isn't working. This isn't working. If it's repeating that, then I don't know what you do. I don't know if you run the bumper a third time and say, hey,
and we're starting over. Yeah, that's just in the faces you see that you remember. So I gave an illustration talking about Hanukkah and about the Maccabees interbiblical period, and Sarah Godino is in there, and she knows a lot about Jewish faith and tradition because she grew up in Jerusalem, so she knows all that. And I intentionally never looked at her while I was talking about the story of Hanukkah and how I got there, and talk about, because I didn't want to misinterpret a face she might make of, oh man, he messed that up. And so I told her afterwards about that. I said, yeah, I intentionally didn't look at you during that part. And she laughed. She said, that's funny, because I intentionally didn't look at you during that part because I didn't want you to think that I was judging what you were saying or like critiquing what you were saying. And I was like, well, I appreciate that, because I didn't. I kept looking to the left the whole time. I didn't want to make eye contact.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, it's a good one to have behind you.
Yes.
And so what the process will be for our church now is we've provided a space of time for you to kind of make the transition.
Right.
What do you think that looks like?
One of the things I said downstairs was
yeah.
it's helping me to make sure that the youth gets kicked off and is on sure footing as far as format and all that before I have to worry about preparing a message for every Sunday. And it also gets us past some of these Sundays they're all high Sundays. We got great things going on with Educator Sunday, with Launch Sunday, all of that, and make sure we launch youth ministry well in all our ministries. But for me, it's going to be a lot of transition of moving offices, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, wow.
I've already started cutting a hole between your office and mine.
Okay, he's lying right now.
So that I have a retreat area.
He has visualized this and talked about this before I retired even.
Yes.
But
I need a way to sneak in there.
Yeah, I kept referring to the pastor's office as Teek's Annex.
Exactly.
So I will say this, it did feel weird coming into my old office today, because I still use that computer to write the Sunday program and the email newsletters and stuff. So I am aware that that's not my space.
Well, I've started moving my bobbleheads in. If you didn't see, I'm just joking. They're not in there. I thought I could move one at a time because James did that. Your son did that to me one time where he moved my bobbleheads around to see if I would notice, and I did. Of course, he did put one like right in my chair.
Yeah.
So there's that. But no, so that's the main thing, is being able to transition to think about a sermon series and where we go with any of our different Advent, things like that.
Wait, I was hoping that I could say Advent before you.
Oh, my bad.
Because I know that's one that you'll be looking forward to. So when it comes
I've already started thinking about it. You know, all 4 Sundays are in December this year of Advent.
I have looked ahead.
Christmas Eve is on a Sunday. We're going to have to counsel before you leave.
Yeah. Never mind.
Because you can't have a Christmas Eve service except at night.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. But those type of things, just because you do, like, one thing I've learned from you is when you'll give us like your list of all your series written out, you look at a year at a time. And so that's helped me to think about what that looks like. We do that in youth ministry, but Sunday mornings is curriculum.
Right.
So we already have that. And then I do it mostly by semesters, where I'll look at what a semester looks like, depending on how long it is, how many Wednesdays you have, things like that.
Yeah. I think for you though, one of the things you'll find, because you have your love for those seasons. I know that. I'm gonna go ahead and forecast this.
Okay.
That you're gonna love the Advent season, and you're gonna breeze through that and have a deep appreciation for it. And then for the Lenten season, you're going to struggle because you're going to want to add to it, because that's what you and I have done for 8 years. We keep thinking of these cool things that we could add on and add on and add on, and that's the hard part, I think, as far as the seasonal calendars, is really trying to just focus on like our friend Brian Strebeck says, you keep things in those complicated times real simple. Mm-hmm. But
boy, is he wrong.
We do agree that is a deep season that you just want to look for every little thing that can help people and kind of trigger that deeper faith. So, but it'll be fun to walk with you through that and hear kind of how you're developing that and finding your way into a rhythm as pastor, because you've done youth ministry for a long time. Right.
That was one of the questions. Did I think it would be hard to separate myself from youth ministry? And I said, well, my first love is always going to be youth ministry. That's what I feel called to. That's what I've loved and I've done for so long. This is a transition, but it's not just a transition out of youth ministry, because I'm just going to move into the role you did, where I cause issues on the third floor on Wednesday nights. But now I get to do it on the kids side as well as the adult side, or the youth side.
Yeah,
so I'm excited about that.
You'll enjoy being the disruptor on the kids side.
Oh man, it's going to be a lot of fun. I figure my first shot's going to have to deal with the fact that they use Folgers up there.
Yeah.
And so we'll have some issues there.
I can tell you who to talk to.
Oh, I know.
Who to speak to. Yeah. So I had a funny thought yesterday morning.
Okay.
Before I knew that you were going to be preaching, I thought, what if the students sabotage the vote?
Oh.
In order to keep you as youth minister.
Well, they didn't.
Well, it's too late.
So I don't know what that says about me or them. But they didn't, so we're good to go.
Yeah. No, I think it's real positive. Our church is excited. Or the folks I've talked to, I've seen the excitement in our church and also in our community. A lot of folks expected this, probably expected it more than you did.
Maybe. Might be.
But
I got a lot of text yesterday from friends and family and things like that. So that was appreciated.
Definitely good times ahead as we walk through this. The next sermon series that I'll be doing, actually my last one here, is going to be called New Beginnings, because I do want to make sure that we give our church and our new pastor the opportunity of beginning. And I didn't want, I kept thinking about how to script this from my perspective as a former pastor here and currently as interim pastor. I didn't want our church to be robbed of that experience of newness. And so picked up a good story from camp last week, talking to some of our friends.
Nice.
And I go, that's what I'm going to title this. And I'm using that story as my introduction on Sunday.
Excellent.
It's just a little encounter I had with some new people. So
I'm just glad that I'm not having to preach after you preach on the same passage for 2 weeks. that was the thing, and I don't know if I told you that, but Matthew 13's been the last 3 weeks, parables.
Oh, yeah.
So the first Sunday that you speak on Matthew 13, your introduction, I was like, well, that's what I was going to do for my introduction. Mark it out. Because everybody said, hey, it's all right preaching after kids camp. You've got 3 weeks to prepare. And I was.
Yeah.
The next week, you actually hinted at my passages, my parables that I was doing. You talked about the leaven and the waiting, and I was like, well, goodbye. So I had to approach it in a totally new way starting Friday and Saturday.
We're both reading N.T. Wright. So
yes. I did talk
that's
to Casey a lot, our camp pastor, about parables. We talked about that and having preached. And so those conversations were running throughout the week where I was processing at camp in the middle of throwing like dodgeballs at kids.
Right.
So,
well, a good way to study.
It might have been one of my best sermons. So maybe I need to throw dodgeballs at kids more often. I don't know.
Well, maybe we could set that up every week. Maybe on the third floor on Wednesday nights.
Yes, I'm in.
Okay. We've got a plan. So anyway, it's been fun talking to Teak this week, especially with all that has gone on, and we're really looking forward to the future, looking forward to seeing you folks on Sunday at 10:30 for worship.
See you then.